So, on today's Academy lesson, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic in the world of magic, as well as show you a trick that illustrates this point, I think, very, very well. And the concept in today's video is going to be based on the idea of dead time. Now, dead time is very different than silence. A lot of people get the two mixed up. They're very, very different and independent from each other. I'm going to have an entire episode dedicated to silence and when to use silence in a future lesson. However, for now, we're going to talk about dead time, which is that empty lull that exists when spectators are either, for example, maybe in the process of signing a card, or there's a trick that involves a little bit of process. You want to make sure that you reduce the dead time as much as possible. So one way to do this is by inserting a trick. Now, David Penn is a magician from the UK. He's very well known for his wizard product review. However, he does have a lot to say about the idea of dead time and how to reduce dead time. But the idea is that you want to reduce the amount of dead air that is in a performance as much as possible. Now, it's going to be a delicate balance to find because you don't want to find yourself talking too much where you don't have to, and you don't want to find yourself not talking enough when there are lulls or where there are pauses in your performance. So one thing that David Penn recommends is, for example, let's say you have a spectator signing a card. So while a spectator is signing a card, you could just do a quick trick for somebody or the other group while the spectator is signing the card. That doesn't necessarily make them feel like they've missed out. They could even participate in a trick once they're done signing, but it's just a quick little trick that takes up the dead time of when a spectator is signing their name on the card. So the best thing to do, again, and I repeat this on an almost daily basis here on the Academy, is to record yourself. You want to record yourself and you want to play back your performance and see when it is that there's dead time. You see when it is that you might have said something that you could replace, or maybe a part in your performance that you could insert something that might take up that dead time. Again, in a future lesson, we're going to talk about the power of silence and how to best incorporate it in your performances. But the difference between calculated silence and dead time is very, very significant. So let me give you an example of a little trick that I might do when a spectator's marking a card. So I might turn to another participant and I might spread the cards towards them like this and ask them to call stop anytime they want. So let's say the spectator calls stop over here on the 4 of clubs. So of course this card is shuffled into the deck and lost as best you can. And now you're going to fan the cards out towards yourself and you turn to another participant. You're going to spread these cards out very nice and evenly. And you're going to turn to another participant and have them hold their finger out just like this. And you're going to have them very slowly bring their finger down onto the cards. So they're going to bring their finger down and ultimately they're going to land on one particular playing card. In this case, they happen to have placed their finger here. So when you ask the spectator to name the card that they were thinking of course, they're going to say 4 of clubs. And here you have the 4 of clubs. Now, this is a very, very simple trick to do. Don't dismiss it just because you think it might not work. It definitely works. It goes back to an idea by Tony Corinda. He's a very famous mentalist in the world of magic. And he came up with this lovely, lovely little idea of having the spectator bring their finger down and you're able to pretty much force the card on them. So the way this works is that we're going to peek at the card that the spectator picks. So there is a peek that I taught on the Academy. That's an overhand shuffle peek, and we're going to be using that one. So for this, you're going to have the spectator call stop anytime they want as you bring the cards and fan them towards them like this. So let's say the spectator calls stop on the 2 of clubs. We're going to get a break right below that 2. So as we square up the cards, we're going to get a break right below that 2. And we're actually not going to control the card. We're going to get a very deceptive glimpse. So we're going to break right there. We're going to transfer that to the thumb in position to overhand shuffle the cards. And I want you to notice what happens here. I could see the 2. So as I'm shuffling the cards, I am blatantly staring at the 2 over here in my break. Once I get to the 2, I have another opportunity to peek at their card. And now I could continue shuffling off that 2 into the deck. And the spectator is going to be none the wiser. And the best part about this is that it's sort of like an open peek. You're shuffling the cards. And if you want, you don't have to necessarily wait to get your peek in this corner. You could wait until the break comes up, peek at the card there, and then continue shuffling off. Now, the key to this peek, as I mentioned in that tutorial, is that you don't want to stop. So if you stop, that's when it's going to be a little bit noticeable. See the difference between this and the difference between this one, where there's no stopping, yet I still got my peak, The second one is definitely more deceptive. So once again, you get a break below, in this case, the 7 of diamonds. You're going to get your peak. You know it's the 7 of diamonds. And now you're going to fan the cards out towards yourself. So you're going to fan the cards just like this. And you're actually going to go through them and look for the card they picked. In this case, I think it was a 7. I'm not sure. But let's just pretend it was a 7 if it wasn't the 7. You could forgive my awful memory. But you're going to fan the cards out towards yourself and look for the card that you peeked at. In this case, it's going to be the 7 of diamonds. I'm going to bring it to the middle in a very prominent position. So I'm going to put it right there in the middle. You could see it right there. It's glaring at me directly in the middle of the fan. So what's going to happen now is that you're going to tell the spectator to hold their finger out and to bring their finger down slowly on the cards. Now what's going to happen is obviously they're going to bring their finger down. You're not telling them to bring their finger down and put it wherever it is they want, because then they might put their finger here or they might put their finger here. You want them to bring their finger down as evenly as possible. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to monitor their finger and you're going to make sure that their finger lands directly on the 7. And of course, you're just moving the fan to ensure that this happens. Obviously, you're combining two actions here. While the spectator is bringing their finger down, you're actually bringing the deck up as well to match them and to meet the 7 here. Now, remember, the idea here is that the spectator doesn't know that you know what card they picked, right? So there shouldn't be any reason why you should be guiding them at this point, because you should have no idea what the card they picked is. That's the sort of logic that's taking place here. So this is a very, very deceptive force to do, and one that's going to be very, very disarming. So once again, you tell the spectator to bring their finger slowly down onto the pack. At the same time, you make your necessary adjustment to make sure that when their finger lands, it's almost like Tetris, their finger lands on the 7 of diamonds. And you reiterate, oh, right there. Remember, you could have dropped your finger down anywhere you wanted. A total lie. You didn't give them that option to begin with. You have the first spectator name the card. They're going to say 7 of diamonds. And of course, you show that they precisely found the 7 of diamonds. Now, the reason I love this trick is because it's done in less than a minute. So you have the spectator peek at a card. In this case, the Queen of Hearts. You shuffle, you get your peek. You fan the cards to another spectator, find your queen, have them bring their finger down, and guess what? The trick's over. All that while the spectator is signing the card. There's no dead time. It's a quick and easy, simple trick to do. If you want, you could just as simply have the spectator peek at a card. In this case, it's going to be the 2 of spades. Use that shuffle to peek at the card as you shuffle that card in the overhand style. Have them think of the card, say it over and over in their head. All right, that's perfect. 2 of spades, 2 of spades. That's great. Are you done signing the card? All right, great. And proceed from there. This spectator is going to be astonished. And guess what? There's no dead air, something that you definitely want to avoid as much as possible. So that is just a little bit of a lesson and a trick in this concept of dead air, just to make you guys aware that this is something that does take place. So again, record yourself, check out your performance and see where you could insert little things like this, little gags here and there, so that you could reduce the amount of dead air in a performance as much as possible. So once again, thank you guys for being part of the Academy. I hope to see you on the next lesson.